Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me. My name's Alex. This is another creator interview on That CNFT Show. I'm joined today by my friend, MrzMuffet. How are you today, Muffet?
I'm good, thank you.
She's joining me from her home, and we're talking about being Discord admins, the community, and several projects that she's been involved with. Now, you and I met first as in your role as an admin in the Discord for Nifty World. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your involvement in that community, as well as some of the other ones you're involved in?
Well, yeah, my first project was actually AdaElementz, but after that, basically, Nifty World and AdaElementz were actually both on Sol, and I actually started working for both of them around the same time, and I actually convinced both of them to switch to Ada.
Oh, you're the one who did that. That's awesome.
Well, yeah, me and some help from others, but yeah, I convinced them to switch to the CNFT space. I'm not sure if it was just those communities, but the servers were really kind of dead in the Sol space. I started working for them, trying to basically engage the community, help with community growth, think for ways to bring more people who would be interested in the project. But regardless, it was just a very transactional community, not much discussion, not much interest. People were not very active. I was pretty sure I could do a better job in the CNFT space, and that they would have a more active, positive community. So I asked both of them, kind of urged them, especially with Sir. I kept bugging him to make the switch. And so, yeah, I did start both of them around the same time. There was a cutoff basically where, it's funny, it was around the same time. They were both initially going to release around November, but they both ran into some issues. But whereas AdaElementz, the creator, was like, go anyway. He was like, oh, I don't care. I want to come out before Ugly Bros. I want to meet this deadline. We don't want to lose the hype, blah, blah, blah. Sir from Nifty World, in contrast, was like, I'm sorry, but this is going to have to be delayed at least 2 months. You know, we need to get the art to the best state possible. I mean, if you look at their art, they've been evolving it and working on it for a very long period of time. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They ran into some hiccups with the first thing that they were working on was the shape. And then after that, first the shape was changed. And I was talking to Sir because a lot of people kept saying it looked like Unravel, which you can see in some of his videos. So first shape, then they were working on the texture. The texture is where they started to run into issues with the files. So he basically delayed the project by like 2 months just to make sure that the project would be like the best quality. And so Nifty World, in contrast, has been a much better community because it's been very slow build community, very focused on quality, which obviously I completely support that. I'm definitely, after my experience with AdaElementz, which was pretty much my first project, I definitely look for that now. I look for joining projects that are really interested in building long-term, organic, slow growth sort of communities, and that are really focused on quality, but I also really look for utility as well.
So, let's go back a little bit further even. Before you were a mod and before you were kind of talking to creators in this way and having a little bit of influence, how did you get into NFTs and CNFTs more specifically?
Well, a lot of my friends know this origin story. My husband and I, basically, we've both been in crypto, especially ADA, since ADA was like at 12 cents. My husband went into the CNFT space pretty early. He actually did not mint space buds. He thought it was too expensive at the time, but he did buy some clays in the aftermarket when they were still relatively low, like around 200. He did mint uni. He was doing pretty well, but he fell into a really, really bad, like cataclysmically bad case of FOMO. And he overspent a lot of our ADA in the aftermarket, like really overspent. And he kind of went into, this is the dark side of the space. I'm sorry to laugh about it, but I tend to laugh about those things. He kind of went into like a bit of a spiral after that, and now he kind of has like a PTSD when it comes to NFTs, like legit a little bit of PTSD when it comes to NFTs. So basically, my origin story was everything's gonna be okay. I will make the money back. And so I just started. I really just started like flipping things to try to make our money back, you know, to hit our target. And I was doing pretty well, but then I found that like I'm more of a holder. I'm more into like community building. That's more my thing. So I kept going into projects that were very long term. And he was like, no, you need to get into flip projects, flip it and get out. And I was like, yeah, but you know, I'm definitely more long term minded. I like to see communities grow. I like to help communities grow. That's how I got hired in the first place. Which, I mean, I didn't even know if that was a real position. I just said, hey, I'm a community manager. But I kind of made a place for myself because I saw the value in that and how much it can really help a project and how much it's really needed. And I just really, before I even tried to make it into a position, I was just helping people because I was like, oh, this is a good project. It could be so much better if, you know, so I would just contact and speak to the creators and just be like, hey, you know what, maybe you could bring more people if you did this, and that. So that's kind of how it started. And then over time, I mean, I was a newbie. A few months in this space feels like years.
Yeah.
Very quickly, I started to recognize which were the projects that, you know, that I should be involved in, which ones I shouldn't be involved in. Mm-hmm. And obviously, you know, I have experienced the worst of the worst with Ada Clouds.
So, okay, so let's talk about that because obviously I know a lot about what's been going on with Nifty because I was a very early community member as well. And I'm talking to Sir actually this afternoon. I'm doing his interview for this week and up to the launch. So in your involvement with Ada Clouds, let's go back, say, to October. That was about the time that they came over. What were some of the thoughts on the project around that time, and then what were some of the red flags that came up over the few weeks in October, November, December?
Right. Well, to be honest, I do not think that was an intended rug at all, because I definitely would have noticed if it was like an intended rug. What I believe happened, because when I definitely didn't want to be involved in some kind of like project that would do that to the community, because I was bringing a lot of friends there. I brought a lot of people there, a lot of friends there.
Yeah, I remember I heard about it from you in the Nifty's Discord. Yeah, I remember hearing about it.
The team, which was basically only the artist, myself, the creator Sam, and the other mod. The team was basically, well, more so me, Sam, and the artist were very much focused on it being like a long-term project. Like every time I spoke to them, they seemed very much to have like a vision of like doing it long-term. At the time, you know, now when I look back, I realize that a lot of it was just way too half-baked. Like, you know, like give me the funding now and then we'll figure out where to go with this. But they were pretty transparent about that. Like everyone knew that there wasn't like clear plans as far as a roadmap after the fact, after the art. I think first off, if the art had been stronger, they probably wouldn't have had such an issue. But there was definitely an issue with leadership, which became apparent right after launch. So basically, I mean, he did pay me right after launch. And he did pay the artist right after launch and the dev. So he did pay everyone up to that point. The problem started to be very clear after launch, when like a day or two after, he kind of like wanted to give up, and not in the sense of like a rug, but in the sense that not in a mean way, but I think that he was very weak-minded. When everyone responded with the negativity, because of the floor. I mean, first off, there was just a really bad decision to release such rushed generative work with the art. I don't think that they intended for it to be like a dupe, by having these really nice promos. Because the generative work, they did actually show that like in announcements, like at least a week before the release. But the difference in quality was just too high. And it was definitely a mistake to spend so little time on the art when it was basically just an art project. So that was like their number one mistake. And before they released them, I told them, look, the floor items look stupid. Sam knew the floor items look stupid, but he still just wanted to release on a specific date. So that was mistake number one. And it was a very big one.
And it's hard too, because I'm thinking back to around that time in September and October, we were in a bull market for NFTs, and I thought that every project that I saw would sell out in minutes. It didn't matter if it was 5,000, 10,000. Yeah, it was crazy. And then when things started to slow down, the market matured a little bit and people became a little bit more discerning. The sentiment changed and everything changed about what was going on at that time.
Correct. That's absolutely true. Yeah. Right around the time when AdaElementz launched was
okay, sorry, we got interrupted a little bit there by the vagaries of your internet connection, but that's no problem. So we were talking about between, say, late September and October, sentiment changed in the market, and we went from everything selling out instantly to it being a little bit more hard work for projects.
Yeah, exactly. People were not selling out right away anymore. AdaElementz did sell out in under 2 days. Before that, though, projects were selling out in maybe hours. Around the time that they released, it started taking, longer to sell out. And then around that time, too, things would dip below mint, which wasn't super common, but things would dip below mint a lot more around that time. So, yeah, it was definitely, I think, an issue with the quality of the work. But also the timing was pretty poor. What I think also is people had an expectation because of all the promotional art that was shown, which was included. The one-to-ones were included in the collection. But the worst part is they were not even planning on using those ones. I actually pushed them to at least include the promotional art that we had been using as one-to-ones. It was not even planned. It was just going to be just the generative work. And they were not even going to include those one-to-ones that we had been using as promos. So, I mean, I was kind of taken aback too, as well as everyone else with, the sudden change in the project. I don't think it was like an intentional bait and switch. I guess they thought it was okay to use these promo pieces and then just do the generative work. They were initially not even going to release those. I pushed them to release those at least as part of the collection. The one-to-ones that everyone knows that, look really, really nice and obviously have a lot of work behind them. But the biggest weakness, aside from the errors that were done and aside from the market at the time, and aside from a lack of like really vision beyond just, artwork, because the art is obviously very strong. The artist is very talented, but there wasn't enough vision for utility and for the future. The biggest weakness was right after launch. I kind of had to push him to keep going. He kind of just wanted to give up because of all the negativity. people freaking out about the floor. The environment was like really very toxic, to be honest. People were really angry. They were expecting returns. They were expecting instant returns and they didn't get them. And so people were really pissed. And so he immediately kind of wanted to just give up. And then, and that obviously that was the biggest red flag for me, when he just kind of wanted to give up. Like, it wasn't an intended rug or anything like that, but he just was like, before that, it's like he had all this confidence. And then that kind of just took the wind out of his sails, the initial reception to the floor freak out. I kind of just pushed him and I said, look, I was panicking because I had brought a lot of my friends to the project, a lot of people, and I didn't want everyone to just, lose everything. So, I told him, look, if you give up, then for sure you're going to fail,
Yeah.
You have to, try to turn this around. I realized mistakes were made. You guys shouldn't have rushed to a deadline. You should have, like Nifty World, delayed everything, made sure that the quality was there, that people's expectations were being met, at least with the quality of the work. But that mistake was already made. That's in the past. Now we have to figure out a way that we can turn it around, and see people get some kind of return on their investment that they've made. I said, if you quit, then for sure you're going to fail. And like, he didn't even want to keep paying the mods. He didn't even want to put barely any energy or effort into the project anymore. So just because I wanted the project to succeed, I agreed to getting paid like half of what I was getting paid before. And then because I was like the only team member during my shift that was actually active in the chat, I was getting most of the heat, and then he was not supporting me in that at all. I kept trying to give him ideas, to try and turn the project around, get some more positive, energy going. And he just didn't seem interested in like any of my, in putting any time or energy or effort back into the project. And the worst part is, he made a lot of money. I mean, he sold out, a collection of 5,555. So like, grow up, there's people are upset, people are disappointed. Okay. But you made a lot of money. Everybody funded this project. They're expecting something. You can't just, get depressed and then decide, that's it. I'm not doing anything anymore. And with that much money, to not even want to pay the mods anymore, like the bare minimum of keeping the community going. So that following month, I took basically like half of what I was taking before. And I should have been working less because of that, but I was still very invested in trying to make the project succeed somehow.
So when was the like the quitting point for you? When did you actually leave your involvement with that?
Following month after that.
So we're in December. We're in December now, right?
Yeah. So in December, he wanted to pay me even less, like half of the previous month. So each month, like half and half and half. And then for the same hours. And at that time, I was there for like 12 hours and very on and active. Yeah. So even half of that. And at that point, the abuse and the disappointment and the anger was so high that it just like, there was no way for me to process all that at such a low fee. And I probably wouldn't have quit, and I probably would have kept going because I was so stubborn about helping the project succeed and not letting it go down like the way that it was going down. If he had like shown some kind of support, some kind of energy, like some willingness, to keep the project going. So before I left, I gave them the idea of exchanging the art for newer art. I don't know if it was Campus or Sam who had the idea about doing elemental stuff. But before I left, I gave them the exchange idea. in the hopes of at least tackling that one weakness, which was, the poor quality of the generative work. And he did take to that idea, so he did post that. So I was hoping that they would somehow do that. But after encountering how weak-minded he was, I didn't really have high hopes for the project after I left. I was pretty disappointed. I was pretty depressed for a while, but I just couldn't keep putting myself in a situation where I was taking like all the heat from everybody and, for very little pay, and nothing was really happening.
Mm-hmm. So in parallel to this, I know right around the time of the actual like deletion of what was going on with the project, the artist was working on moving forward on some Christmas stuff, right?
Yes. So while I was still there, I had another idea to do like special clouds for the holders. I was trying to think of ways, I don't know, to have something to be excited about for the investors. So I thought, let's do a special collection for holders. Sam didn't even want to do it. Me and Campus were the ones that were very excited about it because, Campus, he just likes to focus on the art. That's what he wants to do. So he was very happy to be making something. So we kept pushing him like, please, come on, whatever. Yeah, we were literally like, please, please. And so he was finally like, okay. So then Campus started working on the promotional art, which is what you've seen, the New Year's cloud and the Christmas cloud. Also that the cloud with the planets was one of those. There's another one that you'll see on the website, which hopefully I'm going to get up soon this weekend. It was there as well, one that I'm a big fan of. So that, sorry, that was my dog.
No problem.
No, what she's doing. So that was part of that collection. I did leave around that time. So it was like maybe first week of December that I left. When I was like, look, I need to see more from you, some support, something. And he was just not really willing. So I said, okay, forget it. Campus was working on that. Sometimes when he works on stuff, he goes into like a cave and you don't hear from him. So he didn't even know I had left. He actually messaged me on Twitter afterward, I think maybe a week after I left, and was like, hey, what happened? Did you leave? It's like super quiet now. I don't know what happened. And I explained to him what happened. And maybe a few days after that, he actually came to me and he was like, I don't really want to work with Sam anymore. He doesn't even want to pay me. What he's offering to pay me for this upcoming collection is ridiculous. So yeah, honestly, it's just absurd that somebody who made basically all the bags, because what he was paying with everyone was like, the first month after launch was like fair, but it was not the big piece of the pie. It was like a tiny piece of one slice of the pie. He made all the bank, and to reinvest so little time, so little energy, so little money into it was just absurd to me. On top of that, he's placed royalties, which the artist is not even getting. It's just all him. Yeah.
Okay. So let's.
So Campus did talk to me during that time, and he was asking me, what should I do? He wants to pay me so little. I'd rather work with you. So actually, since that time, we were talking about working on a new project. He said, I much prefer working with you. I would love to do a project with you. And I said to him, I'm actually right now occupied with Nifty World and Cardano Castle, which I just started around that time. And I need to focus on these. And as far as a new project with us, I would love to work with you. I think you're a very talented artist, and I think we would work well together. But I really want to have a strong utility aspect this time, and I need time to think that over. So that's kind of where we were. But then fast forward to now, to very recently when we started the project. I think that was only a week ago.
Yeah. So we filled in what happened in the weeks leading up to the actual rug, or soft rug, or slow rug. And that part was pretty well known in the community. So why don't you tell me what you guys have been working on since that date in the last, I think it's been not even 10 days, but since just before New Year's. Why don't you tell me about what you guys have started and what you guys are building going forward?
Right. Yeah. So before the very slow, drawn out rug, Campus and I were talking about making a new project. I started talking about doing like a card battle type game that would somehow tie into the NFTs. That was the idea that I had. He wanted to do something with space themed art. So that's kind of where we were. Then when Sam decided to just completely give up and delete everything, he had actually left Samus without paying him for like a full month of work. So all those promotional clouds that he had done, he didn't get paid for. I spoke to the other mod, and I also believe that they didn't get paid because I remember they quit just a few days before me, and they asked me if I was still getting paid. So, I mean, I assume for them too, there was kind of an issue. I spoke to the old dev, and he said that he had just done a few things for him, but yeah, he also left without paying him for some work. But the one who got the biggest issue with payment was Campus, who didn't get paid for like a full month of working on those promotional clouds. So he contacted me and he told me, you know what, he didn't pay me, he disappeared. And he actually was about to quit and not work for Sam anymore. But because he needed the money, he decided to go back, and then Sam just didn't pay him anyway. So it was pretty bad situation for him. And also because I had told him that I wanted to do like a very long-term kind of slow project with him, not like to rush into anything. So that's why he decided to go back. So when the rug occurred, I was really shocked. I was like logically I was not shocked, but emotionally I was shocked. I knew there wasn't that much hope after I left. Like if you have to push the creator to keep going constantly, then there's not that much hope for the project. Like if you care more about the investors and the project than the creator does, there's not that much hope. We're not going to make basically kind of situation. So when that occurred, me and Campus started talking again. And I was like, okay, well, we obviously can't let it go down like this. Like all these people, all the friends that I brought and, your artwork too. So we kind of just decided to align the ideas that we had for our future project and the Ada Cloud somehow like make it up to the investors, like help them see some kind of value, help them see some kind of return on their investment. So like very quickly, I developed, since I've made a lot of really good friends in the space, and I think the CNFT community is actually like really a positive space. I mean, it has a dark side like every community, but it's a really positive space. I was able to build my team very quickly. I was really happy when Maria from Nifty World decided to work with me. And I definitely wanted to make sure within the tiny budget to try and pay people fairly. And I'm fronting the cost of the mods per month because I don't want them to like wait until launch. So I'm fronting the cost to pay them per month. I want to pay them more, but I would need an increase in budget later on. But I was very happy when she decided to work with me. JT, another good friend of mine, also decided to work with me. So those are our two Discord managers. The missing puzzle piece for our project was definitely the dev, A code. Basically, I started the server right away. I wanted to move really fast to let everybody know, look, you don't need to panic. We're going to take over. We're going to figure this out. Obviously, it fell on my lap all of a sudden. It was around New Year's, like literally around New Year's Day or so. So I kind of hobbled together the server very quickly. Some friends actually helped me clean up the server. And so around that time, I met the dev that we're now using. I mean, I actually, because we were getting a lot of attention on Twitter, I actually had a lot of like more well-known devs and whatnot reach out to me. But what I really liked about him was he just came to the chat and started just giving me like fresh ideas, you know, like really good ideas of where to take things. And he was just being very helpful. And we were kind of aligned in that we both like to see projects grow. We both like to build small communities. And we both like to do something that's exciting, you know, not something, yeah.
So now that you've got a Discord server ready and active already for AdaCloud's holders or anyone who wants to get involved in the project, and you've mentioned that you're building a website for your vision of what this next part of the project is going to be. What are your steps in the next, few days, couple weeks, looking out a couple of months for AdaElementz?
Well, the vision actually came together very quickly. We somehow were able to, it was kind of like a puzzle piece. Basically, the project that I was thinking to build with campus, the old project, the old plan that I had for exchanging the art, as well as some of the great ideas that Dev gave us for utility. So I discussed with him like constantly to figure out the utility aspect that would work for this project. You know, he had some ideas about fusion. From that, I came up with the idea of the tokens and the elemental tokens and whatnot. So after much discussions with him to know what was really possible, what we really can accomplish and can accomplish within this budget, I actually made like the entire plan for phase 1 and the entire plan for phase 2 with him, which you can see on the server. There's a Google Drive link. It's not detailed in the aspect of like percentages and numbers and whatnot, but it's very detailed on what the plan and long-term vision is for the project. I'm holding an AMA because I know that it's like a huge amount of text and people may get confused. So I am going to try and answer their questions, but briefly, if I can go into it, basically there is phase 1, and phase 1 has the season 1 collection. Well, phase 1 has season 1. So the idea for phase 1 is just to release the season 1 collection, which is basically 4 collections, the elemental ones, air, earth, water, and fire. Each collection will replace some of the old clouds in exchange for new art, which is the old idea that I had from the other server. But on top of that, when they exchange the old cloud, we will be putting it into a community wallet and basically keeping it out of circulation there because it has the old policy ID, it has the old royalties. So we will basically just store it there. And in exchange, they're going to receive our tokens. I don't know if you want me to get into detail about the tokens because
as much or as little as you're ready to talk about now. I know that it's a lot is going to evolve over the next little while, and you're still working on finalizing the details. But as much or as little as you want to talk.
Well, to be honest, we're very clear on what earns what and all that. The only thing that we still have to discuss is like how much, the percentages, things like that. The more detailed kind of white paper stuff. But as far as a light paper, we have a very long one and we're pretty clear on what we're doing and what we will be able to accomplish. So again, the idea of phase 1 is to take the old clouds out of circulation that have weaker art, leave only like 1.5K of those 5 clouds for the very end. The ones that are going to be left at the end are going to be exchanged for a small fee and some kind of bonus. That part we're not sure on yet for the new policy ID. So we're hoping that the ones that are left at the end will be basically people's holds, their favorites, because there were some good ones in the collection. So we're hoping that people will exchange all the weaker kind of art that they're not happy with and hold until the very end the ones that they like the most, to improve the overall quality of the entire collection. So with the utility aspect, when they exchange their OG cloud for new art, they will also be receiving tokens for that. There will be a website that will like accrue a balance over time of tokens. And then from the website for 2 fee, they can withdraw their tokens. So first, they're going to get the new air clouds because it's going to be in phases. There's 4 elements. The first collection is going to be the new air collection. The new air collection, they're going to, for 15 ADA, exchange their old OG cloud that they're not happy with, hopefully not one of the nice ones. And then that's going to be taken out of circulation. The same day, they're going to receive the new artwork and some air tokens. Then, as they hold the cloud over time, they will start to accrue a balance of air tokens for that OG cloud. Then with the next collection, Earth, it will be similar, but then all the OG clouds that are basically staking, those will also begin to receive the Earth tokens. So eventually, by the end of the collection, all the OG clouds that you exchange will be earning all 4 tokens over time. There's a 5th token, which is the essence token, which is like more the true currency, the more valuable one, which the OG clouds will not earn the essence token because it's going to be the most rare type. But you will be able to, through the website, exchange all your elemental ones for essence tokens. And so the OG one, as each collection is received, will begin staking all of those tokens. Now, also, for holding the new collection, you get tokens for that element type only. So the original clouds that are out of circulation will earn you basically all of them, but the new collection you will only be able to get per element and for holding over certain periods. For example, if I'm holding a new cloud from the new collection, I start to accrue over time air tokens. When I sell that to someone else, the tokens don't transfer. I keep those. So those are still in my balance. I can do whatever I want with those. The new person, basically, they start from 0 as far as their balance. So they can either just insta-flip, hold for a while to accrue some tokens, or whatever they want to do with that. The idea that we have is to, also with the phase 2 aspect, which is the game, is to make a sort of ecosystem that benefits lots of different types of people. Maybe people that are not even into CNFTs. For example, in phase 2, which has the game aspect, and the game is going to use our tokens, basically our in-game currency, to buy the packs. The elemental tokens will be, you'll be able to buy different card packs. The idea is to have, like, let's say a set that has a high chance of having certain rare fire cards costs fire tokens. Or a certain set that has a high chance of yielding really good air cards to cost air tokens. Maybe some mixed sets. Maybe like a really, really good set will be essence. Specifically, if essence is only going to be used for more for real world items, I'm not sure. Because by the end of phase 1, we do want to have a budget for merchandise. Because you have all these tokens and you have to wait all the way until the game in phase 2, it seems kind of like people are going to get bored with the idea. They're not going to see the value in holding the tokens. So by the end of phase 1, we hope to open the merchandise shop. Mind you, we have a very limited budget with what we're working with. So I don't know if we're going to have to increase to 20 mint for the following collection. Or what we will do, we will hold a vote on that and see basically what people are in favor of. Or if, I've been fronting a few costs now. So kind of like the reinvestment part that we had set aside out of this current budget is being used for this collection. But hopefully over time, we'll have more left over from each collection. Because my plan is to have a merchandise shop by the end of phase 1, where you will be able to use the Essence tokens. So you can exchange all the elemental tokens through our website for the Essence tokens, and then use the Essence tokens to buy the merchandise. And the purpose of that is, you know, first off, merch-wise, people were really excited for that. In the previous project, the clouds would easily make really cool merchandise. I haven't seen the other collections yet, but I know for sure the clouds would make really cool merchandise. So basically, it would give people a way to circulate the tokens in the meantime and do something fun. We would basically be paying the merch from our funds and then just taking their tokens in exchange as a way to keep circulating the tokens. So most likely the merch shop will be Essence tokens. But yeah, back to phase 2, which is going to be with the game. Phase 2, in order to make the game, obviously, we're going to need to have a season 2. So phase 1 and the season 1 collection is more about replacing the old art and helping the people who are rugged by AdaClouds. But the season collection.
Well, no, I was just going to say, it sounds like it's really ambitious, and I think that obviously it might have been easier to build something going forward if you weren't also looking to help the holders of a rugged project from the past. But I think you found a really interesting and creative way to kind of do both, and you're developing a roadmap about how to move into the future in that way.
Right, exactly. So that's kind of one of the reasons for the rebrand to AdaElementz. Basically, I don't want to focus so much. I know everyone wants to know the story, like that's the story people want to know what happened for now. But as far as our project, I don't want to focus too much about Sam and you know, all that negative stuff that happened in the past. What I really want to do is just help people get some value from their initial investment now in phase 1. And then in phase 2, give the project a real future, which is why with AdaElementz, one moment. Sorry. Go inside, Freja. Yeah, so that's the big reason for the rebrand. I'm super future minded with it. When you see the website, it'll even be it'll kind of be an attempt to tie the old collection together, the season 1 collection, as well as the season 2 collection and the plans for season 2 that we were kind of building since before, but really started coming together more recently when we found the dev and started, you know, making a roadmap for that.
Well, I really applaud what you're doing. And I think being an active community member, and while you weren't in, you know, being put in a tough position where you weren't in charge of what was going on, but obviously you were affected by it, you found a really great way to, you know, add some value back into the community and get things moving in the right direction. So I wanted to thank you for that. And as your website comes up, I'm going to help you push that out. We can talk about that over the next few days. And if you've got some stills you want to send me or anything, we can include those in this interview. But listen, I really want to thank you for taking the time to, like you said, not only talk to me about what has happened and the negative aspects of leading up to a kind of prominent slow rug, but also talk about the ways in which you're helping the community come together and moving forward.
Well, yeah, I'm actually surprised and happy about how quickly our team came together, how quickly the vision started to make more sense and connect both the past and then the present and the future in a way. So it does feel like a, you know, a puzzle that kind of came together very quickly. The growth has been very quick so far, actually. And so far we're actually building a very, very cool and positive community, which I'm really happy about.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to follow it very closely. Obviously, you've been sending out lots of updates. I'm going to let everyone try to join the Discord and follow you on Twitter and all that stuff. And I wish you the very best of luck in the next coming weeks and months.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Muffet. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.